The Denver Nuggets are back on home court following a 6-game road trip tonight. They take on the New Orleans Pelicans, a team they just beat 7 days ago.
That's right. We got some Nuggets action, other NBA, plus some college basketball, and a Lundy's lesson as you get ready for the Winter Games.
A lot of basketball and the Olympics to look forward to, and Nate and I are going to help you decide which bets are worth throwing your money at. It is You Bet Tonight, and it starts right now. It is time for You Bet Tonight, presented by BetMGM. The Nuggets went 4-2 on their road trip, dropping their last 2 games, but they have home court advantage tonight as the New Orleans Pelicans come to town. Pels coming off a 10-point win over the Detroit Pistons. Welcome into You Bet Tonight. I am Rachel Richlinski alongside Nate Lundy. Nate, happy to be back on the show. How have you been? How are things?
Back. Well, here's what's good. You came back at exactly the right time because those of you that have been watching over the course of this week know that we've gotten kicked in the shins a few times over the course of the last week with some of our picks. But ICYMI on Wednesday night, a perfect 5-0. So let's see if we can stay hot tonight.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you. It doesn't happen very often, so I'm going to celebrate when it does.
Hey, starting red hot off the top, and that gets us into tonight's headline bet.
Do it.
And we are starting at home with Colorado State Hoops. Take it away, Nate.
Yeah, we got some Mountain West basketball for you tonight and a really good matchup that's going to take place at Moby. We've got Colorado State hosting San Diego State in this one. CSU favored by 3.5, and that is where I'm going. I'm going to lay the points. The Rams sitting at 10-1 at home this season. They continue to be dominant at home. This is a really fun team to watch, and this is going to be a fun game to watch as well. San Diego State, when they've been on the road and they're an underdog, the last 4 times that's happened, they've gone 0-4. So I am expecting CSU, the crowd that is going to be there tonight is going to be energized. They're going to be making a lot of noise because, look, this team, as I said, has been fun to watch, and they've been great at home. So I think that energy continues to grow. I think they're going to play off of that. I expect Colorado State to win this one by 6.
Yeah, if you care about college basketball at all, you need to be watching this game tonight. I mean, San Diego just 5 losses on the season. Yep. CSU just 3 losses. This is going to be a good college basketball game to watch. Now, sticking with college hoops, Nate, how about Nevada at Fresno State?
Yeah, we got one more late night. Tomorrow's schedule, by the way, in college basketball for Saturday is absolutely spectacular. But we did get a sprinkling of some good games, including Mountain West contests. So, yes, Fresno State at home taking on Nevada. This is a big spread for the Bulldogs to be able to cover, but I think they get it done. Even though it is sitting there at 9.5, I expect a double-digit win for Fresno State tonight. Nevada 0-5 in their last 5 road games against the spread. This is a team that just has not played well when you take the spread into account as they've traveled on the road here over the course of the last month or so. But then Fresno State, as a home favorite, 7-0 against the spread. So again, I'm going to follow the trends here. A Bulldogs team that is expected to come out, play really well at home. Again, double-digit win should be easily within reach. I expect this one 12, 13 points. So even if by the time we get to tip-off later on tonight, if this spread has grown a little bit, I'm comfortable up to 10.5, even 11.5, because I think this is a dozen or more for Fresno State.
Coming from a confident man who went 5-0 on his ICMY picks the other night. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
I got to keep saying that. I'm impressed.
So,
now, we said off the top of the show we were going to give out a lot of basketball picks,
yes,
right?
So tons of hoops tonight.
NCAA to NBA now.
Let's go down to the AT&T Center in San Antonio. Houston will make the short trip over to take on Pop and the Spurs tonight. San Antonio favored by 4.5. Focused in on the total, though, with this one. Look, the over has happened both times that these two teams have already played this season. So I know you think, okay, wait a minute, Nate, they've gone over twice already. What are you doing going under? I think the problem is that we've seen this over-under climb. So this is one that I'm now turning around and essentially reverse betting, because the first 2 times that they played, the total was set by the odds makers at about 230, 231, 232. Now all of a sudden we're up at 236, and this is the time that I think I essentially counter bet it. I think they've overcompensated for what these two teams have done when they've matched up against each other so far this season. So I'm going to tuck this one under. 236 is a big number in the NBA unless you start dealing with overtime.
Absolutely, and the Spurs are struggling. They're trying to avoid 3 straight losses, and they are just dead as far as depth chart goes. So yeah, I think think they're just trying to survive. I don't think they'll be putting up big numbers.
Well, and I just pointed out the fact that the first 2 times they've met so far this season, they have gone over. But again, 11 out of the last 15, which basically means prior to that, 11 of 13 had gone to the under. So I'm going to follow the trend of what normally happens between these two teams as opposed to what we've seen here over the course of the early part of the season. Now to Salt Lake City we go. The Jazz, who will be hosting the Brooklyn Nets. This one, back at the beginning of the season, we might have expected this really big, kind of not rivalry, but a really great NBA contest. And I still think it can be, in part because Donovan Mitchell will be back tonight for Utah, fully expected to suit up and play. So we are going to see a little bit better Utah squad than we've seen over the course of the last few weeks when Mitchell and Gobert have not been there. Now, Rudy is still not playing. Gobert is not expected to play tonight, but you do have Donovan Mitchell back. I think that makes a difference. And because of that, I'm going to focus in on the total and take the over here. Utah has been surrendering a lot of points. We certainly know Brooklyn knows how to score, but I think Donovan Mitchell coming back is going to give that extra energy at home to the Jazz, and I think we're going to see a fast pace here and see a lot of points.
For sure. Now, I talked about the Spurs struggling and that they wouldn't put up a lot of points, but I will still take the over on this one in saying that the Nets are on a 6-game losing streak. Jazz are 1-5 in their last 6, but the Nets producing 112 points per 100 possessions. Jazz own the best shooting profile in the league. So, in this one, I would take the over, even though they haven't been on a roll.
I get nervous sometimes when they get up into the 230s, but I think this is one you can confidently do. Again, I'm expecting that jolt of energy for the Jazz with Mitchell being back.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
we got hoops done. We got some Olympics to talk about. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about tonight.
A lot coming up, and the Joker is back.
Hi, Joker.
Nuggets welcoming the Pelicans tonight. You Bet Tonight is brought to you by BetMGM Sports. Place your parlays, props, and futures bets at the king of sportsbooks. Get the app today. Welcome back to You Bet Tonight, and it is time for Lessons with Lundy with Nate, of course. And Nate, excited about this one because, hey, most of our viewers are already watching the Winter Olympics. A lot of the games are already underway. And if you're already watching the Winter Olympics, then maybe you want to know what bets are worth it.
So we're going to sit back. We'll get a little Lessons with Lundy here, and let's talk about the Winter Games. Look, every time a sports season rolls around, whether we're talking about baseball, hockey, college basketball, college football, etc., right at the beginning of the season, maybe all of a sudden it grabs your attention, and it's time for you to be, I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to sprinkle some things in. So we're going to do that as it pertains to the Winter Games, and I've got 3 different bullet points, and these are very conversational. This is just designed for me to give you a little bit of tidbits as you get ready if you decide you want to have some fun with the Winter Games. So 3 points that I want to be able to share with you. First one, if you're going to decide to bet on it, watch it. If you're going to be watching it, maybe you decide to bet on it. So in other words, if there is a particular activity, it is going to be on at 3 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference between here and Beijing. That's probably not one that you want to be able to bet on unless you have just a really good feeling, a good idea about that particular match or that particular athlete. And so again, it's the kind of thing just like it is when we're betting on the Nuggets or on the Avalanche. You want to be able to watch it. You want to be able to have that rooting interest while you're watching it. The second point I want to make when it comes to looking at what you can do with the Winter Games is look for the veteran athletes, right? Because someone that has been there, done that, someone that has participated, especially if they've participated in multiple Winter Games, you know that you can then take that athlete and maybe have a somewhat of an expectation of what they're going to do as opposed to some of the newbies. So as you see some of the sports and you see folks that you know are competitive, even though they have participated in a couple of Winter Games, that is something that you can use to your advantage because there's data that you can go with to be able to make that particular bet. And then the last one, Rachel, and this is true for every sport, have fun with it, okay? If you decide that you want to enjoy the two-person luge, go right ahead. Have some fun with it. But at the same time, remember what your account balance is. Remember what you can afford. We say it all the time, only bet what you can afford to lose. So if you want to have some fun with some of these sports, because there's some goofy ones, obviously. I mean, you're going to find me betting on curling, trust me, because I just find curling fascinating.
Well, and if you're already watching it, why not have a little bit of fun with it?
So make sure you've got some fun. That's the most important thing to me. Have some fun.
Exactly. Now, my big question here is to the first bullet point of watch it, bet it. Are you not up at 3 a.m. to cheer on Team USA for every single event?
Kind of depends on how my night's gone. Okay, if it's been one of those kind of evenings, I may already be asleep on the couch by the time that particular contest starts. So speaking of contests, couple of bets that you can make right now at BetMGM and our friends there. So I want to get to a couple that you can do here as the games are getting started, including one that you can actually do tonight. So let's talk about those, and let's start with the total medals for the United States. Now, the over-under right now is set at 22.5. You can see that the U.S. had exactly 23 medals 4 years ago, 2018. You go back 4 years prior to that, you're looking at 28 medals. But I'm going to go with the under, and this is actually one of the reasons why. We know that all of the health and safety protocols that have been impacting the NHL and the NBA, college basketball, et cetera, right here in the U.S., well, that applies to everything that's happening in Beijing for 2022, including the fact that some of the athletes that the U.S. would normally send to some pretty big events, Rachel, are just not there. They've had to pull out, whether it's for injury, whether it is because they did not want to participate because of the COVID-19 protocols, et cetera. That includes obviously the NHL athletes playing for their home countries in hockey. So this is one that, unfortunately, I think the U.S. is going to wind up being under this 22.5. And it's not because there aren't some incredible athletes that are there. It's that some of the top shelf ones just aren't there this year. And
I completely agree with that statement. Now, if you want to send an email to Nate Lundy himself, I can get you that email and tell him that he is unpatriotic, un-American for this pick. I mean, come on.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to be rooting. Nate. I'm just being smart about some of our athletes, obviously, that aren't there.
And it makes sense. We have to take into account what's going on with COVID.
Now, one team that is fully expected to medal and might even wind up with the gold medal is the U.S. women's hockey team. Yes. Same way with the Canadian women's hockey team. Both of them extreme favorites when it comes to Beijing 2022. Each of them has already played one game here so far as they're in the preliminary round. But let's talk about the Canadian women's hockey team. They actually will take on Finland tonight. This is going to be a puck drop just a little bit before 10 o'clock Mountain Time tonight. So if you could catch it after the Nuggets-Pelicans game if you want to. Canada is favored by 3.5, and we're going to lay the 3.5. The Canadian women have already won their first match 12-1.
Ouch.
So, yes, Canada is really, really good. The Canadian women's team, the U.S. women's team are both really, really good. And, in fact, Finland has already lost to the U.S. team 5-2. Right. So I think Canada should be able to win this and win this rather handily. So we're going to lay that 3.5 puck line. You don't see that in the NHL very often, but, man, the Canadian and the U.S. teams are so good.
I so want to see them in the finals. Very excited to hopefully see that happen. Yes. You know, it's what we're keeping our fingers crossed for. And, hey, if there are any Colorado Avalanche fans out there, well, then you're probably well aware of forward JT Compher. His sister is competing in the Winter Olympics, playing for Team USA. I've talked with Jessie before, and she says she really tries to mimic her game and make it just like JT's. So I know JT and the rest of the Compher family and a lot of the Avalanche family will be cheering on Jessie.
Be a lot of fun to watch. Really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, stay with us here on You Bet tonight because we're talking everything Denver Nuggets. On the other side of the break, they're welcoming in the New Orleans Pelicans to Denver tonight. You Bet Tonight is brought to you by BetMGM Sports. Place your parlays, props, and futures bets at the king of sportsbooks. Get the app today. The Denver Nuggets are back home tonight. They are hosting the New Orleans Pelicans at Ball Arena. 6:30 Nuggets courtside, 7 o'clock tip-off. I'm just excited for this game to start, Nate. That's all. You know, my hometown team, the New Orleans Pelicans, coming to town. And while I'm claiming them to be...
Now, do you maintain your fandom for the Nuggets here, or does this get tough for you?
Well, you see, I wrote in my notes to make sure that I say that the Pelicans are 19-32 this season. I don't claim them, and I am now officially a bad Louisiana sports fan. So there it is. Go Nuggets. Hope the Nuggets get the win tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it is going to be go Nuggets. Let's get to our Nuggets picks tonight as the Pelicans come into Ball Arena. Now, an update for you here as we get ready to talk about the line in this game. I was ready to take the Nuggets minus the 6.5, but I can tell you right now as we're doing the program, that line's moved down to 5.5, folks. You just got gifted an extra point. I think the Nuggets take care of business tonight. And you can see in the notes there, I say it's time for a punt return. What I mean by that is very clearly the Nuggets punted in Utah. You gave Jokic the night off. Aaron Gordon was off. Boogie Cousins was off. Michael Malone was ready to start pulling guys out of Section 102 in Salt Lake City and just put them in a uniform. What, did he?
Yeah, he did. I just didn't want to pull a muscle.
You got a wicked jumper. Yeah. So I think this is the time to get back from the punt return. I think the Nuggets are going to take care of business tonight after having that night off that they did at the end of the road trip. This is your chance to be able to take out the Pelicans. They've already beaten them twice this season, once by 6, once by 11. And like I mentioned, I'm talking about it at 6.5. But if you check the live line right now, as of when we're getting this segment rolling, we've got BetMGM's dropped it down to 5.5, folks. So you got a gift there with the points.
Yeah, and I don't see the Nuggets dropping 3 straight. And like you mentioned with Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic being back, I mean, it's the Nuggets. will be fine tonight, especially facing this New Orleans Pelicans team, and they've already beat them just 7 days ago. So
they've done it.
We are fine. We are fine. Now let's get to some more NBA bets.
How about Aaron Gordon?
Aaron Gordon, yes.
You just brought up Aaron Gordon.
Yes.
He's going to be back. Look, he was my bet against the Jazz. I expected him to have over 14.5 points, and then he wound up not playing. So obviously that bet was voided. We got our money back on that one. But his point total now has dropped to 13.5 for this game tonight. I'm going to roll with it. He's averaging 14.5 per game this season, right? Okay, so that's good. That's above our 13.5. But he's averaging 15 points a game in the 2 games so far against the Pelicans. So I expect him to come back. He had the night off. You're rested. You get a chance to kind of be ready to go for tonight. And so I think AG is actually going to go off. I expect him to be in the 16 to 18 point range in this game. Just got a gut feeling a little bit that this is going to be a good Aaron Gordon type of game.
I trust that gut feeling. You're back home after being on the road. You missed that one game. As long as you're at 100%, as long as he feels 100%, because we know Nate feels 100% about this bet, then I think things will be
I don't even trust my gut feel all the time. She does. That's perfect. That's exactly what I needed to know.
All right, Nate, how about Thunder at Trailblazers tonight?
That's right. We got some more NBA action. We've already hit on so many of these. This is a really good NBA schedule tonight, which is typically the case on a Friday, the way the league does their schedule. But let's go to Portland, where the Thunder will travel there. I'm taking the Thunder with the 8.5 points. I'm not saying the Thunder are going to wind up winning, although every now and then Oklahoma City pulls this off, and they've been doing it over the course of the last few weeks where they just sneak up every now and then. But Portland has not been good at home. They've been, in the last 6 times they've been at home that they've been a home favorite, they've only managed to cover the spread once. In Oklahoma City, for all of their flaws that they have been able to stay competitive in a lot of their games. And Portland is just not playing well. We know they just pulled off the big trade today in the NBA. So all of those things combined just, to me, sets up for Portland to have a bit of a down game. I think Oklahoma City, again, I'm not saying OKC is going to win it, but I think 8.5 is too many points going up against this Trailblazers squad.
And I have just some numbers I want to read off here, just to back that up, if you will. Portland ranks 8th in the NBA with their starters averaging over 78 points per game, while Oklahoma City ranks 29th with 65.1. That is all I'm saying, and I'm leaving it at that.
Some numbers that help you out.
Just throwing numbers that stood out to me. Now, let's head to Dallas as the Mavs host the 76ers, because you have not 1, not 2, but 3 bets for this one game.
Not 2, not 3. No, 3 this time. We're going to supersize our picks here as we go down to Dallas. The Mavericks taking on the 76ers. Big time game here. I really am looking forward to this one tonight. I think it's going to be a fun contest. You got Dallas favored by 1.5. I'm just going to take Dallas on the money line with this one, because it would not surprise me if this wound up being like a 1-point game, and I'm not willing to have Captain Hook come in and take advantage of us there with the 1.5. So let's just take them on the money line with this one. It brings it from that 110 to the 120. I'm willing to be able to pay that one. Dallas, I'm expecting them to bounce back. They just lost to Oklahoma City. I told you, every now and then the Thunder sneak up on somebody, and they did that to Dallas. So I think Dallas will bounce back. And as a little bonus pick for you, I think 210.5 is too low of a total. I don't think they're going to obliterate this. I don't think they're going to wind up, finishing at, say, 225, 230. But I already told you, I think this is going to be a close game. It's why I don't like the 1.5 spread, which means we might see overtime. And because this is the kind of game that I could see Dallas and the 76ers going to overtime, in regulation, I think they can get over this total, but certainly if it stays close and they wind up in overtime, we're gonna hammer this number. So a little bonus pick for you in addition to Dallas.
So all the sportscasters and sports fans who are watching this right now absolutely hate Nate for saying that this game is going to overtime.
Right.
They're throwing things at their TV right now, like, how dare you curse this team?
Well, I said this was a supersized pick. We got 2 player props for you.
Let's go.
Let's go to Tyrese Maxey here. We're looking for rebounds and assists for Maxey, over at 9.5 for him. He's been over in 6 out of his last 7 games, and his minutes per game have been ticking up. Give you this stat for you. He averaged right about 32 minutes a game in the month of December. In January, that number climbed to 39 minutes per game. Time on the court, more time to be able to stack the stat sheet, and I think he does that. Again, rebounds plus assists. We just need double figures with those 2 added together. Then let's go to the stud that is Luka Doncic. His total, another 9.5, but this time it's for rebounds. Philadelphia ranks last in the NBA in defensive rebound percentage, so they're allowing the opposition to take the board. They're not getting a lot of offensive boards is basically what that translates to. So because Philly allows that, Doncic can find himself in the right place at the right time, get that board, even if it bounces off the rim, comes out near the 3-point line. He can stack that up, which means I think he gets up above this total. So if you really want a fun bet for Doncic as well, if you want to sprinkle maybe a half unit on it, is for him to wind up with a triple-double at the end of this one. That one you can get at plus plus 200. I'm pretty certain he's going to do it with assists. He usually does. He's going to wind up doing it with points. And so if you think, like I do, that his rebound total is going to get up above this, there's your triple dub.
Well, and he had 40 points in his last game. This is someone who had a bit of a slow start to the season, but is a superstar and is performing very well. And he's going to represent Dallas at not his first, not his second, but his third All-Star game, NBA All-Star game. So he's a fun one to watch. And you know what? If you're watching the game, you might as well bet on him, throw your money at him, and then blame Nate if you get it wrong. So that's how we always do it. Now, Super Bowl Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. So we have a preview. We're going to look ahead on what's going on with the Bengals and the Rams. You're watching You Bet Tonight on Altitude. You Bet Tonight is brought to you by BetMGM Sports. Place your parlays, props, and futures bets at the king of sportsbooks. Get the app today. Welcome back to You Bet Tonight. Now, Super Bowl 56 is right around the corner, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, featuring the Bengals and the Rams. So excited for some Super Bowl Sunday action.
Yes.
I'm excited to watch Joe Burrow and plenty of other players.
Well, this one's going to be fun. We've been doing a handful of these, and they're courtesy of our friends at BetMGM. They have these head-to-head matchups at certain positions, and we've done a couple of them. We've talked about Joe Burrow. We've talked about Matthew Stafford. This one, though, focuses in on the running back position, and we're looking for which one of them is going to have the most rushing yards, Cam Akers or Joe Mixon. And I'm going to go with Mixon with this one. It's the reason why it's already been juiced up at minus 130. I expect him to get ball to belly several times in this game, and you can see that Cam Akers has been juiced up to the point where he's at plus odds, but I think Mixon is more likely. Also, keep in mind, the Rams do have a good stable in the backfield. It doesn't always mean that Cam Akers is there. Sometimes Sony Michel gets the ball as well. So let's lean to Joe Mixon, but I made that pick before I knew about your connection with Mr. Akers.
Yeah, shout out to Cam Akers. Shout out to Clinton, Mississippi. My first job was in Jackson, Mississippi, so I got to cover Cam Akers his senior year of high school at Clinton High School. So way back in 2016, and let me tell you something. This was a man among children on a high school football field. It was just pathetic to watch the way that he would roll over other teams' defenses. It was truly incredible. And this is a kid that was playing in the MHSAA. He was good, and he's facing good competition in the Mississippi High School Association. Now, this is from 2016, so yes, it was a long time ago, and I understand that the NFL, that this Super Bowl is a little bit different from high school football in Mississippi, but I'm telling you guys, this is a good kid, and I'm so personally excited for Cam that he has the opportunity of a lifetime to play in the Super Bowl. From Clinton, Mississippi to the Super Bowl. Way to go, Cam Akers.
I should have changed my pick. No, I'm sticking with Mixon. Good story, but I'm still sticking with Mixon.
I'm just here to bring the good stories.
All right. You ready for it?
Let's do it.
My top 5. ICYMI. Let's put a bow on tonight's program, shall we? My 5 favorite bets. Like I said, Wednesday night we went 5-0, which means, honestly, you probably shouldn't do anything I'm about to tell you. Colorado State minus 3.5 as they take on San Diego State up at Moby. Let's go Rams. Fresno State at home laying 9.5 against Nevada, and I will do that with the Bulldogs. Nuggets minus 6.5. Remember, it's also dropped to 5.5 against the Pelicans. Thunder getting the points in Portland. And finally, Tyrese Maxey. Let's get a double-figure total of rebounds plus assists. There you go.
Love it. So you went 5-0 last time. Here's to going 5-0 one more time. And for everyone at home, doing well on all of their bets. So good luck to your bets. Good luck to the Denver Nuggets hosting the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. For Nate Lundy, I'm Rachel Richlinski. Thank you from our entire crew. You're watching You Bet Tonight on Altitude.